You ever sit up at night wondering what your life would look like if you'd taken a different path? Not just out of regret, but because you feel those other versions of you. Like they're still out there. Somewhere. Most people write that off as imagination. But what if it isn't? What if science, real, peer-reviewed science, is starting to validate that intuition? This video walks you through the research that suggests you might not be imagining things after all. So you walk away not just with answers, but with a grounded framework for something you felt your whole life, but could never quite explain. We've all had those eerie moments. A sense that the version of us who made a different decision is still out there somehow. But is that just sentimentality? Or could it be something deeper? What is that feeling? That strange moment where you pause mid-thought and wonder, what if I had chosen differently? Most of us chalk that up to imagination or nostalgia. But there's something about the feeling that won't go away. It has texture, gravity, a kind of emotional residue that lingers. And it's not always about regret. Sometimes it feels like those other versions of you are still out there, living different lives, making different choices, as if you're not the only one carrying your story. Why does that intuition feel so real? Even when logic tells us it shouldn't be. Why do some decisions carry this sense of splitting, like your path didn't just continue, it diverged? If that's ever happened to you, you're not delusional. You might just be more tuned in than you've been taught to believe. Because as strange as it sounds, science is starting to take these questions seriously. And not in the fringe corners of the internet, but in peer-reviewed research across physics, biology, and neuroscience. We'll get there. But for now, just hold this. That eerie, almost sacred sense that there's more than one of you out there. It might not be sentimentality. It might be perception. The mainstream view of reality is that events happen in a single timeline, one path that moves forward. But what if that framework is outdated? For most of modern science, reality has been understood like a train track. One timeline, one direction, no do-overs. If you didn't take the left turn, that's it. The path disappears. The version of you who chose differently? Gone. But in 1957, a physicist named Hugh Everett proposed something that shattered that model and nearly got him laughed out of the field. He suggested that quantum events don't collapse into one outcome. They split. Every possible result, every alternative, plays out. But in a different, coexisting universe. It's called the many worlds interpretation, and for decades, it was seen as pure science fiction. Everett's idea was simple but wild. The universe doesn't choose a single outcome, but rather, it realizes all of them. If a particle can go left or right, it goes both, in separate realities. If that sounds abstract, think of what that means for human choice. Because at the quantum level, your decisions don't erase the options you didn't pick. They branch. And here's the kicker. Many worlds isn't magic. It's math. A direct consequence of the equations physicists already use to describe the quantum world. In fact, it might be the cleanest interpretation and the one with the fewest assumptions. That's why, after years of rejection, it's now taken seriously by a growing number of scientists. So that old belief that life is a straight line might not be outdated just emotionally. It might be outdated physically. Because in the quantum model, life isn't a line, it's a tree. And you're not standing on one branch. You're the trunk. If every decision creates a new branch of reality, then you're not just one person following one path. You're a constellation of selves. What exactly does that mean? Most of us have had moments where we pause and wonder, what if I'd chosen differently? Maybe you've had a thought like this. I look at my kids sometimes and wonder how different our lives would be if I'd taken that job offer. I don't regret the choice, but I can't help thinking about the version of me who said yes. If the many worlds view of physics is accurate, that version of you didn't vanish when you chose differently. He kept going. Same memories up to the point of the decision, and then different life from that moment forward. That then raises a deeper question. If both versions are real, who's the real you? Because if every meaningful choice spawns a fully realized thread, with its own momentum and its own consequences, then identity stops being a single line. It becomes a pattern, a spread, a field of possible selves, each one shaped by different selections, each one unfolding in its own coherent world. So what defines this you? Is it your memories? Your biology? Or is it simply the fact that this is the one you're tuned into right now, and so, the one where your awareness is anchored? Some thinkers believe consciousness itself might be a localized resonance within a larger identity field, meaning every version is valid, but only one is present at a time. This idea doesn't come from people talking about magic. It comes from real scientists and thinkers trying to understand what consciousness really is. For example, David Deutsch, a physicist who supports the many worlds interpretation, says that your mind doesn't make one reality collapse, but it just moves along one path while all the other paths keep going. You can think of your awareness like a flashlight traveling through a giant tree of branching paths. You only see the branch you're on, but the rest still exist. Then there's Bernardo Kastrup, a philosopher who believes in something called analytic idealism. He says that consciousness and the ability to experience is the main thing in the universe. Each person is like a little bubble inside that larger sea of consciousness. So, every version of you is its own real bubble of experience inside that bigger field, not a copy or a fantasy. And in neuroscience, Carl Friston's free energy principle suggests that your brain is constantly predicting the world around you and even predicting you. It builds thousands of possible versions of reality every second, testing which one best matches the incoming data. The version that fits becomes the one you experience, while the others quietly fade into the background. In that sense, your conscious self is the model that won, the best fit simulation your brain is running right now among countless other possibilities. In all of these models, there's a common thread. Your conscious self might not be the totality of who you are. It might just be the instance you're currently tuned into and the thread of awareness your perspective is riding right now. If these parallel versions of reality really do exist, why can't we perceive them? What keeps our experience locked to just one timeline? If the universe is constantly branching, with every possibility playing out somewhere, then why does life feel so linear? Why do you only remember this version? Why does it feel like there's just one of you, living in one world, making one set of choices? This isn't just a philosophical question. It's actually something physics has tried to answer. One of the most important clues comes from a concept called quantum decoherence. In simple terms, decoherence explains why quantum superpositions, which is all the possible outcomes, don't stay tangled together forever. Once an interaction happens with the environment, the system locks in to a stable state. not because the others disappear, but because they stop interacting. The other versions don't go away. They just become inaccessible. It's like tuning a radio. All the stations still exist, but you're only hearing one. Not because the others aren't real, but because your receiver is locked to a specific frequency. Now, add consciousness to the picture. If your awareness is the receiver, i.e., the tuning mechanism, then the version of reality you experience is the one you're currently resonating with. That would mean you're not trapped in one timeline. You're just tuned to it. And that subtle sense you sometimes feel like there's more just out of reach, that might not be fantasy. It might be the bleed through between branches. That question, why can't I feel them, isn't wrong. It's just missing one word. Maybe the right question is, why can't I access them? And the answer might be, because reality itself is filtered to preserve coherence, and your consciousness rides one stream at a time. What if this branching doesn't just happen out in the universe, but inside your own brain, moment to moment? We tend to think of perception as passive. Light hits the eyes, sound hits the ears, and your brain just reports the data. But the truth is way messier and way more interesting. Have you ever misheard someone, like really misheard them? And for a split second, you were totally convinced they said something completely different. Then, just as quickly, your brain snaps it back, and it's clear what they actually said. That's not just a glitch. It's a window into how your brain works. Your perception didn't shift because the sound changed. It shifted because your brain was juggling multiple interpretations of the same input and suddenly flipped from one to another. This is what researchers call neural multistability. It's the ability of your brain to toggle between different possible perceptions without changing the actual stimulus. You see this with optical illusions, too. The image of a vase that becomes two faces. Nothing's moving, but your brain just can't hold both versions at once, so it flips between them. And this doesn't just happen with visuals or sounds, it happens with meaning. Your brain is constantly predicting, guessing, checking. And every moment you feel clear and grounded. That's the result of a probabilistic system resolving uncertainty into stability. So while the universe might be branching on a cosmic scale, your brain is branching too, constantly shifting between internal versions of you until one becomes dominant. We're taught that decisions are how we move through life, one choice after another, forming a path behind us. But maybe decisions aren't just directional. Maybe they're dimensional. We usually think of choices as a series of forks in the road. You turn left or right, you stay or you leave. You make the call, and the other option just fades into nothing. But that might be an illusion. In quantum physics, choices don't erase possibilities. They filter them. Every potential outcome continues to exist, just in a version of reality you're no longer tuned into. You see this on the emotional level too. Think about a moment when you wrestled with a big decision, like ending a long-standing friendship. You go back and forth for weeks. Then one day you finally do it. And afterwards, even if it was the right call, it feels strangely final. Like a door didn't just close, but a whole version of your life sealed itself off. That sensation might not just be emotional weight. It might be a kind of perceptual shift. It might be your awareness sinking fully to one version of the world and falling out of phase with the others. And that eerie feeling that lingers, that might be you brushing against the version of your life that kept going in a different direction. Still real, still unfolding, just not yours anymore. That decision to end the friendship didn't destroy a path. It selected one. A branching event, not just in hindsight, but in real time. Most of us walk through life assuming we're solid. A person with a stable identity, a clear backstory, and a consistent direction. But beneath the surface, we might be far more fluid than we realize. We're taught to think of identity as something fixed. You are who you are. You have a personality, a timeline, a set of beliefs, and sure, you grow and adapt. But the core idea is that there's a you underneath it all that stays put. But the more we learn from quantum physics, the more that idea starts to break down. At the subatomic level, nothing is fixed. Particles don't have definite positions or velocities until they're observed. They exist in a probability field, a spread of possibilities that only resolve into a single outcome when something interacts with them. And weirdly, that's not just a physics thing. It may be the best description we have for you. Because maybe you felt this too, that your sense of self isn't as locked in as you once believed. Like, I always thought of myself as someone who knows who they are. But lately, it feels more like I'm being updated all the time. Like I'm never quite settled. That feeling isn't a sign of confusion. It's a sign of reality doing what it does. Your identity isn't a fixed point. It's an ongoing resolution of potential. Even your memories, the anchors you rely on to define who you are, aren't as stable as they seem. Neuroscience shows that every time you recall something, you slightly reshape it. You're not replaying the past, you're reconstructing it through the lens of now. So if you feel like you're always evolving, never quite finished, maybe that's not a flaw. Maybe that's what it means to be real. That sense of constantly being updated, never quite locked in, isn't instability. It's accuracy. You're not one version of yourself. You're a live feed of probability resolving into presence. So what's the practical takeaway here? If all these ideas are true, or even partly true, how should that change the way you live? At a certain point, ideas like this stop being abstract. They start getting personal. Because if observation really does play a role in shaping your reality, and if every moment is a live filtering of infinite potential, then your presence isn't passive. It's participatory. Every time you notice something, focus on something, give energy to something, you're helping resolve which version of reality becomes yours. Not in a mystical way, in a participatory one. And that means you're not just floating through this. You're voting with your awareness, with your attention, with the way you meet this moment. But here's where it gets even more grounded. You don't need to chase the other versions of you. You don't need to figure out where they are or how to reach them. You just need to honor this one. The version of you that's present now, watching this video, living this life. This isn't the only you, but it's the one you're responsible for. Maybe that's not limiting, maybe it's empowering, because this version has the ability to choose, to participate, to shape what unfolds next. That feeling, what am I supposed to do with this, is the signal. You're not meant to chase every possibility. You're meant to meet the one you're in, fully, consciously, because this is the version that can choose. We began with a strange, haunting question. What if other versions of you really do exist? Now, after everything we've covered, maybe the real wonder isn't out there, but here. There's a stereotype that science strips away mystery, that the more we understand, the less there is to wonder about. But the truth is, the most profound awe doesn't come from avoiding knowledge. It comes from pushing into it and finding out the mystery goes deeper. The many worlds interpretation, quantum decoherence, predictive processing. None of these were invented to be poetic. They were built to be accurate. And yet somehow, the more precise they become, the more they start to rhyme with things we've always felt. You don't need to invent magic to believe in something beautiful. You just need to stay open with what the data and your own experience are both pointing toward. That shift from science takes the magic away to science is the magic doesn't come from fantasy. It comes from doing the work, staying with the questions, and finding that reality is stranger and more sacred than you ever expected.